So chapter 6 is auditing planning, understanding the client, assessing risks, and responding. So what do you expect to learn from this chapter? What do you think? What do you expect to learn from this chapter? You can type, you can talk. Please recall what we have learned in the previous chapters. So what do you think? Yes, you have to have your audit plan. Okay, so what do you think your audit plan should include? Understanding the client, yes, good. But you have to understand the client first so that you can have your audit plan, right? You have to understand first and then plan your audit plan. Yes? Yes, okay, so what else? Oh, how about the risk? What kind of risk you have to assess? Inherent risk, and what else? Control risk, yes. What is the third one? Yes, detection risk. So what is the risk that auditor can control? Olivia just mentioned we have inherent risk, control risk, and the detection risk. Among these three risks, which risk can auditors control? So which risk can auditors control? Control risk? Yes or no? Yes, detection risk. That is the risk that the auditors can apply various procedures, auditing procedures to reduce the risk, right? Yes. Okay. And responding, I think that's quite simple. After the auditor has done all the required auditing works, then they have to issue what? After finish the auditing works, what the auditors will issue? A report, right? And what it is called? Yes. So the responding should be the auditor's report. Okay. So, and we said today we are going to talk about the significant steps to audit process. Yeah, that's correct. And that is our first PPT. Use which one? Yes, the audit process. Okay. So here are the major steps in the audit process. Okay, so we have 6 processes. The first is plan the audit. The second is to obtain an understanding of the client and its environment. And the environment will include the internal control system. That is very important. Okay, and that is the key part for obtaining an understanding of the client and its environment. Okay, and the next step is to assess the risks of misstatement and design further audit procedures. Okay, and the fourth is to perform further audit procedures if it's required. And then we were going to complete the audit and form an opinion and issue the audit report. So they are the major steps in the audit process. Okay, so let's go to next page. You can see. Okay, so before all the processes start, we have to gain the client first, right? If you don't have the client, you don't have to do anything. So this chapter will emphasize the obtaining a client and step 1, 2, 3. Okay, and 4, 5, 6 will be left in the following chapters. Okay, so today we are going to focus on obtaining a client and step 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so what is the step 1? Plan the audit, right? What is the step 2? Obtain what? An understanding of the client and its environment, especially its what system? Internal control system. Okay, what is the next step? Assess the risk. Okay, audit risk. inherit risk, control risk, and detection risk. Okay, and they are the focus of this chapter. Okay. Okay, so let's get into the next learning objective. That's retaining the client, because the auditing will start from here. Okay, and we will talk about issues and the factors that auditors will consider in accepting a new client. Okay, so let's talk about engagement risk first. Okay, have a look at what does that mean? What is the definition for an engagement risk? Even if the auditors perform an audit in accordance with auditing standards, they may be sued by stockholders or creditors that incur a loss. If they did, the auditor will be sued. So this is the risk. Even the auditors have performed everything in accordance with the auditing standards, the possibility for them to be sued is there. So that is an engagement risk. Okay, and in order to reduce the risk, what do you think the auditors should do? You already done everything, but there is the possibility for you to be sued. So what should you do before you consider to accept that client? So what do you think you will do? As an auditor, what will you do? I'm sorry? Yeah, the evidence, but you haven't started to audit yet. Here is at the stage that you are considering if you are going to accept that client or not. So what will you do to help you to make a decision? Okay, and we says communicate with the management as inquiries and permission. Yes. So that is the. Okay, so you are going to get to know the reputation of the management. Okay, that is quite important. Okay, so generally the auditors obtain management permission to make inquiries of other third parties. You can ask, but you should ask for the permission first, so that you can understand if the management has a very good reputation or they have a bad reputation. Okay, so what else? Okay, let's see. If you want to see whether this man is good to be your boyfriend, what will you do? What will you do? A client is like your boyfriend, very important. You have to understand if this is a good man, right? And next, you are going to understand the family he's coming from, right? The family he is coming from, because it's important. Yeah, marriage is not just related to two people, right? Yes, so you get to know his family. Okay, so go back to our client. You have to understand the industry, right? The industry your client is in, right? That is like your boyfriend family, right? Okay. Yeah. And here, when you know I think the most straightforward to know whether your boyfriend family, I think you are going to see whether he has enough money, right? Can I say that? Right? Yes. Too practical. I think that's, you have to understand first. We don't have to marry a very rich person, but at least he can make enough living for maintain the living of you and him, right? Yes. I think that's the basic. But what if he is very poor? What is the risk? Right? What if he is very poor? So what is the risk? So if this company, if the potential client has a financial problem or has a credit problem, the risk is higher, right? Yeah, so you have to understand the financial strength and credit rating of that client. Just like we understand our boyfriend's family to see whether he has enough money to support our living, right? Okay. Okay, so engagement risk is increased when the client company is in a weak financial position. Okay, so the same, right? Okay, and after you understand these two key points, you still have to evaluate whether we can complete the audit in accordance with the required auditing standards, right? Because if we accept this client, we have to gain access to all the financial data and the required document. So you have to make sure you can finish the audit in accordance with the required auditing standards. Okay, so this is all related to engagement risk to help you to make a decision whether you are going to accept the client or not. Okay, I think you all can remember now, right? Because you will remember the boyfriend theory. Okay, okay. Okay, let's move to the next page. I'm sorry, Yoko, I should say if you are choosing a girlfriend. But I think that it's a different issue. Choosing a boyfriend and choosing a girlfriend they are not the same. Do you agree? They definitely are not the same. So we can talk about that if we have time after class. Okay. And next, okay. Next, we are going to talk about audit committees. And here are all the required things you have to remember for audit committees. The first one is that in the United States, an audit committee is required for a public company. Okay, it is required for a public company, and all the audit arrangements should be made through contact with them. Okay, so it is required for public companies in the United States, but for private companies, I think maybe they don't have any audit committees now because not many people involved in the company. Okay, and at least 3 independent directors or outside directors. Independent means outside, okay, are required for the committee. So the committee should have at least 3 independent auditors. Okay. And do you still remember Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002? That is a very important act. Okay. According to that act, the committee members should not receive any consulting, advisory, or other compensatory fee from the company. Okay, no, that is not allowed. Okay, that is not allowed. Okay, and then within the committee, at least one member, usually the chairperson, must be a financial expert. Okay, so the chairperson should be a financial expert. Remember, okay. And the last one, the committee is responsible for the appointment, compensation, and oversight of the auditors. So the auditors are highly related to the audit committee. Okay, yeah, so it's required for the public company at least 3 outside directors, and the chairperson should be a financial expert. Okay. Okay, so can you remember? Okay, I think quite easy to remember. Yeah. Okay, next one. Okay, since you know, because we are in this class, we are always talking about the public companies. Okay, and matters to be discussed with the audit committee. What do you think? Can you think about any matter that you could find in the process of auditing, and you have to communicate with the audit committee? What do you think? What are the matters? Okay. Okay, we says fraud, yes. And what else? Fraud or misstatements or illegal act, right? Yeah. And what else? Internal control problems, yes, that's good. Change in time frame of audit process. In time frame, I think that you don't have to communicate with the audit committee with regard to this issue. You can make the decision by yourself. Auditors can decide when to audit. Okay, just let the client know and ask them to cooperate. But auditors can make the decision. And Yoko says created meeting notes for this meeting. Can show, let me see. Okay. Okay, so what else do you, can you remember? Accounting estimates. Sometimes you have to communicate with the audit committee. Some accounting principles, such as accounting estimates. Okay, and what else? And audit adjustment. If you find account balance is not correct, you have to correct number, then sometimes you have to communicate with them. Okay, for the audit adjustments. So internal control, accounting principles, and manage fraud or other illegal acts and adjustments. Yeah, they are the issues you have to communicate with the audit committees. Okay, next. Okay, so money is very important. So how is the audit fee determined? So what do you think? What do you think? Direct labor, right? Direct labor, right? What direct labor? So what is the direct labor within an accounting firm? The hours that your auditors have to put into the auditing jobs or works, right? The hours and the different labels involved in this process. Like you maybe for field work, for the lowest level of auditors have to put their time in, and one manager or one CPA. So each different level has their own rate. So the fee is determined by the direct labor involved in the process. So that is the time, right? So you have to estimate how much time you have to put into this job. And that is how the fee is determined. Okay. So staff time. Okay, staff time is the basic unit of measurement for the audit fees. Okay, this is highly related to managerial accounting. Yeah. So what else? If you are accepting a new client, then means you have to talk with your previous auditors. You have to communicate with them, but what to communicate with them? What are you going to ask of the previous auditors? So what are you going to ask? I think the first question to ask is why they change the auditors? Why? Right? Why? Okay, and then what else to ask? Did I show? Yes. Okay. Whether your boyfriend is a good boyfriend, integrity of the management. Okay, and to ask if they have any disagreement over accounting principles, because you are going to have the same issue with the client. If the previous auditors have this problem, you might have this problem. Yeah, And then you have to, for the communications to those charged with governance regarding fraud and non-compliance with those. What are they going to do if the auditors communicate these questions with them? What the management will respond? And then communication to management and those charged with the governance concerning internal control significant deficiencies and material weakness. This is the same as the previous one. And the predecessor's understanding of reason for change of auditors. This is the first question. I think this is the first question to ask. Yeah. So remember, if you are going to obtain a new client, you have to communicate with the previous auditors or CPA firms to know why this client changed auditors, especially for public companies. Yeah. Okay. So next, okay, engagement data. So what do you think it is? Here you already decided to accept the client. So you are going to issue them an engagement letter. Okay, so the engagement letter will include the following terms. Okay, like objective of and scope of the audit, and the responsibilities for auditors and management, and the inherent limitations of the audit, and the applicable financial reporting framework such as GAAP or IFRS. And then expected form and the content of report to be issued by the auditor. All those are the terms within the engagement letter. And this letter should be addressed to whom? Now you already decided to accept this client, and you are issuing an engagement letter that identifies all the required terms for the auditor. So then who should the letter address to? Directors of what? The company? Are you sure? Let's see. Yeah. Audit committees are required for public companies in the United States, and the audit arrangements should be made through contact with them. So what do you think the engagement letter should be addressed to? Yes, audit committees. Okay. Okay, and this engagement doesn't have a standard format. Okay, that doesn't have a standard format. Okay, but it represents a contract between the client and the auditors. It's a contract. Okay, and the contracts will identify all the required terms for the audit, so that they have mutual understanding of this auditing work. Okay, you already know this one. This data should be addressed to the audit committees. Okay, and although this data doesn't have a standard format, I would like you to find an engagement in your own language. Okay, and to see and to check whether it's the same as the one required for the United States. Okay, so choose one from your country in your own language, and then compare that to the one from the United States. I think you can find many in the internet. Okay, so can you do it now? I think only 5 minutes. Okay. Okay, so please.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
What's the requirements anyway?
Okay. I want you to find an engagement letter in your own language and one from the United States, and then compare if they are the same. I think they should be the same.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. And I think we do this for 10, okay, I give you 10 minutes to do it. And after 10 minutes, you can take a 5 minutes break. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let's move. Oh, okay. Please pay attention to that. Who is this data addressed to? Who? Who? Audit committee? No. No. Okay. Who does this data? Who is the data addressed to? Yeah, for chairman of board of directors. Okay, chairman of the board of directors. Okay. Okay, that is different from the audit committee. Okay, no, this data is addressed to the board of directors. Okay, and let me see. Okay, please pay attention to the paragraphs for reporting. Okay, the paragraph for reporting. And did you see that we also will issue a written report on insert appropriate reference to other auditors' report expected to be issued upon completion of audit. And please sign and return the attached copy of this data to indicate your acknowledgement of and agree with the arrangement for our audit of the financial statement, including our respective responsibilities. Have you heard about the management representation data? Management representation data. What is it? Management representation data. Have you seen reporting, the word reporting from the United States, reporting, and up the reporting, there is a paragraph saying that as part of our audit process, we will request from management and when appropriate, those charged with governance, written confirmation concerning representations made to us in connection with the audit. This is called a management representation letter. So who should sign the management representation letter? And what is the purpose of this letter? Just type management representation letter. Yeah, that is to the management representation letter. Just type management representation letter. What is the purpose of this letter? That is the engagement letter issued by the auditors, and management representation data is issued by the management of the client. And what is the purpose of that data? What is the purpose of the management representation data? Okay, so what is the purpose of the management representation data? It is the what?
It is the accuracy of the financial statement.
Can you explain further?
It is the accuracy of the financial statement that the company has submitted to the auditor for
To be audited. And that is the responsibility of the management, right? Okay, yeah. The Reska, okay, so Reska is typing. Let's wait for her. Okay. And we say data of evidence that management understands their responsibilities and attests that they have performed all their responsibilities. Yes. And Reska said represent the fact. Represent the fact are what they are, that all relevant information is included. Yes, yeah, very close. and the content of certain matters. Yes, okay. Yeah, so the major purpose is for this data is that the management assume the responsibility for the fair presentation of the financial statements. Because in our engagement data, we made it clearly the responsibilities between auditors and the management. And for this management representation data, the management assume the responsibility. So the auditors should get this data from the management. Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, and what else should we pay attention to? Let me see. And so just remember that because this data, engagement data, doesn't have a standard form. Okay, they don't have a standard form. So like from the one from the Indonesia, they can insert the fee schedule into the data. Okay, but from Mongolia, no. Yeah, so they are all acceptable. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let's finish this part.